Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for the third Idaho Cultural Resource Information System update. For those of you that I have not met, I'm Tricia Canaday, the State Historic Preservation Office Administrator and Deputy SHPO for Idaho. Also participating from our office today is our Ashley Malloy, our Compliance Architectural Historian, and Shannon Valine, our Data Manager. As I said, this is the third ICRIS update. Recordings of the two previous sessions can be found on our website, along with a couple of documents that may be of some interest. Shannon has dropped a link to that page into the chat, so you can hop over there and get access to previous session recordings. A recording of this session will also be added, as will future sessions and webinar trainings as they're developed. So one bit of information to update you on first. Go Live has been pushed back a bit and is now scheduled for January 11th. Before we get started, we would ask you to please mute yourselves if you are not already. There will be time for questions after our presentation, so please hold them until then. You can raise your hand at that time and we'll call on you. These sessions are meant to more or less build on each other, so we're not going to cover exactly the same ground as the previous sessions. Rather, we want to show you things that have been added or further fleshed out since the last time we met. Today, Ashley is going to demonstrate how users will create and submit a project in ICRIS and what it looks like if SHPO has to return it for any reason. She'll also demonstrate what it looks like if a project has an adverse effect. Keep in mind that ICRIS is still very much in development and there are still bugs to be worked out. The finished product will look very much like what you see today, but not necessarily exactly as it will appear. I don't want to repeat everything we went over in the first couple sessions, but I will repeat a few of the salient points to start us off for those of you who weren't at previous sessions. Specifically, that while ICRIS will bring changes for all of us, for the most part, the process will remain unchanged. You'll still input your data about sites or resources, and for the most part, the same data. You'll still provide photos of those resources, and you'll still write a report and submit it. But the process for these actions will become more automated for you and for us. For instance, rather than entering data into the SHPO's access databases, you will, in ICRIS, input data directly into the system. Based on a survey we conducted last year, we took a critical look at our site forms and winnowed out some fields, so there will be fewer fields to input. Also, because everything will be initiated through the GIS, the locational information will be auto-generated, saving you time and effort and ensuring accurate maps. Some of our terminology has had to change because ICRIS cannot distinguish between a site and what we all commonly called a site form or site record. Those will now be referred to in the system as resource records. Users will create a project in ICRIS, and within a project, users will create resource records. Rather than contacting our office for a record search, you will have real-time access to our data, both site forms and reports. Users will be able to upload a shapefile of an APE or survey area, or draw it within the GIS, and all existing sites or reports will populate on the map within your project area. A tabular list will also be generated as well. Users will write the survey report outside of the CRIS system and then upload a PDF version. Once all elements are complete, projects will be submitted to SHPO with a click of the mouse. As soon as a user finishes a resource record and hits complete, a Smithsonian trinomial will be auto-generated to the resource record, so you will know that information immediately and not have to wait for SHPO to assign them. Both archaeological and built environment resources will now receive a Smithsonian number. There will no longer be IHSI numbers issued, though that data will still be part of our legacy data and searchable in the system. SHPO staff and subscription users will have a dashboard within ICRIS with active projects visible. On the SHPO end of things, we will have a visual indication and automated reminders regarding review deadlines. You will be able to see who your project reviewer is. The ICRIS will have automated messages and timestamps to track project progress. We are developing a field app utilizing Survey 123 that will allow users to capture data and images in the field and batch upload that data upon return to the office. However, use will not be mandatory. That's the big picture overview. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Ashley Malloy, who will demonstrate some of the ICRIS functionality. Ashley?
Sure. So as Trisha mentioned today, we are going to create a project in ICRIS. I am currently logged in as a consultant with Pro. So I have a little bit more functionality than a basic user. So to create a project, we're just going to go to create a project here on the screen. And this can be done one of two ways. The agency can create the project and send it to the consultant to work on, or the consultant can create a project and send it to the agency to work on. And we'll have some guidance for that. And we also will have guidance if you all have internal guidance of, the transportation department wants to create the project first and send it to the consultant. That can be done as well. So we have project type that we're going to fill out. And as a consultant, I can select eligibility review, section 106, 110, annual report, and CLG survey. So today we're going to do a section 106 review. And we're going to fill out the project name here. Roof. And then lead agency name, just for capability today, we're gonna select my other account is currently the Boise National Forest. So we're gonna select that. Not that the Boise National Forest would be working in Morrisville Secretariat, but just for our demo. Oops. So you can put an organization or a number in here. And you can do multiple organization numbers. So if like the Boise National Forest has their number, but maybe SWCA, who I'm logged in, also has a number, we could also put that in here too. And then our information, the submitter organization is my current role now, SWCA Environmental Consultants. I'm the submitter. And then this description of the project will be roof replacement at Morrisville. Oops. So we do have the functionality of spell check within the system too. So we're going to create this project. This is the basic information to create a project. Organization project number is optional for this creation. So we're in create. So we can go down here to GIS and we can map our project location. So we're going to zoom in here to Boise. The GIS has not been built out entirely. We are working on adding different layers and things like that to this along with search capabilities. So we're going to zoom in. I created a dummy project earlier, so we're going to kind of do the same thing here. Morris Hill. And this is where we can do our, what is now known as the record search is now going to be the literature review. The standard record search or literature review is 1 mile. We are going to change that since we're just doing a simple roof replacement. Actually, we might do even smaller here. We're submit that. So we have our success, create shape. We also have what it's buffered in down here, and the capability to zoom or delete. We also have the capability to upload a shape file over here as well, or multiple shape files. So now if we scroll back up, we have project attachments, we have project surveys, and project resources. And you're probably wondering, where do you see your literature review? If we select down over here, we can see literature review. And there are 2 previous surveys that have taken place within this area right here. And we can also select this project here. We're still working on what is being shown. So we have the title, the information. So this is a cultural resource review from the transportation department. We also have the associated project, section 106 review, the transportation department review numbers. And then we can also open the file to review, maybe. So you will be able to open up that pop-up blocked. 1 second. So you will be able to open up the file. Here we go. To view any previous surveys that had taken place in the APE. Then we can, we can toggle back to our project up here. So we are back at our project, the roof replacement at Morris Hill Cemetery. We looked at our literature reviews, and we can also, probably because I tried to open that 100 times, it's going to keep popping up, but we can look at our previous resources as well. So we can click literature review and see all of the resources that were recorded within our area. So we have mausoleum. We also have the Oregon Trail. We have the Morris Hill Cemetery Mausoleum, and that's actually our resource that we are working with. So since we're working on this project, we're going to update the resource record for the Morris Hill Cemetery. So we're going to create new resource. We can go in and edit the information. Some of this will be pre-populated based on the information that we have in our system. Some of it will be a little bit more work depending on how old the record is. So here it tells us this was created 24 years ago. So this is the information that we had 24 years ago. So we're going to update the description here. So you can copy and paste from like a Word document. We can put ownership is actually it's owned by the city. So we're going to update the ownership for this resource. It's not a restricted resource. History is not required, but we have history because we're good historians. We're going to add this information here. And then we are going to say it's an eligible resource. It's actually listed under the Turtleot and Hummel MPD. So we're going to select that. We're going to say it's actually eligible under C. So yes, for those in the area of architecture already selected. And then we are going to add our significance and justification here. So we have all of that there, and we can click save. So we have this information is all filled out now. We can now add a photo of our resource. We can add that. Actually, let's see. And add a description and save. And then since this is a building, our property type, actually, let's go make sure our map is correct. Right now, the resources aren't loading, but they're working on that bug right now. We can map our resource. At the very end of each resource record, we have other versions of the resource that were created. We have associated projects. We have associated surveys, there are none, and then resource comments from the SHPO down here. So now we have our GIS uploaded. We are going, whoops, go to the property type. Here, just refresh. That's a bug they're working on right now. And we're going to edit this information. And we're actually going to change the name of this resource. Actually, not change the name. That's the correct information. So the original construction, 1937. They did an alteration just this past year in 2022. Some of this information is already filled out, the current use and sub-use. We have the wall material. We can also add the foundation material, the window material. I don't think we have the roof material. The plan is rectangular. Save. So we've added all of the information for this built environment resource, including the construction, the feature information, the function, and the material and architecture. We still have the photo here. We can also upload if we want additional photos. Right there. So we have 2 photos now. We're gonna back to the resource. I think this resource record is complete. We're gonna change the status to complete, change status. Now, if I went to change the status to complete and I didn't have the required photo or I was missing the GIS shapefile, then it would show me a different box saying that I missed something. I would have to complete it before changing this record to complete. So right now we have our Morris Hill Cemetery Mausoleum. We have it as complete and eligible. If it wasn't complete, it would say so here to let you know that you have a little bit more work to do on this project. I'm going to add a new project survey. I'll fill out the title, the year, and the keywords. The keywords are optional. Organization project number is optional. We can upload an attachment. Of our survey. So our survey report has been uploaded and we're going to hit the next screen. And we are going to zoom into our project location again and turn off some of these layers. So we did survey here, generated from GIS, and we did an architectural survey only. So we're going to update that right here. We're going to hit next. And then it's going to give us the title of the survey, the author, keywords. It will calculate the intensive and reconnaissance level surveys we have to work on, what an architecture survey gets calculated as. But if you did class 3, it would show like you did an acre of class 3 survey. It tells us our counties, our quads, our PLSS information here. You can turn off this layer and you can see where we did our survey. We're going to submit that. And then, so we have our survey completed, we have our project resources, we have our GIS information mapped. Since this is a Section 106 survey, we also require 2 photos be uploaded of the project area. So we will upload those photos. Project attachments also include a PDF. And I think, let's see, make sure we have all this information selected. So as the consultant, I filled out all the information I know so far. The agency project finding, I could put that in there, or I could let the federal agency fill out that information, or I could have, or I could fill it out and they could change it as well. So we're gonna try to submit this project. So we need a PDF attachment. So let's upload our PDF attachment. We're gonna upload a cover letter here. So as a consultant, I've entered all the information. I've uploaded 2 photos of the area, the cover letter, the survey, the updated resource record, and I've mapped it. So now it should let me submit. So now I have submitted the project, but we should be able to go to my other profile. Oops, hold on. This is, I'm now logged in as the U.S. Forest Service Boise. I have access to this project. If you have the pro version, you'll have a dashboard and it'll tell you which projects are available for your review. So this didn't have anybody assigned to it, so we're going to go in. We're going to say USF Boise, but we're going to do Ashley Basic Plus as the reviewer. And if there was an applicable PA, we could select it here. So if there's like a no properties, no effect PA that has a 21-day review or something like that, you're going to have to go in and select the PA so that you get your 21-day review, or your I know like the BLM has a 15-day review for something, so you have to make sure to select that to start or have the clock adjust for the SHPO. We are going to say that this is a no adverse effect. So we can add agency comments here. And I can review the information that the consultant has created. I'm like, oh, that's not enough photos. Let's upload another photo, or let's upload another document. I can do so here. But I think, oh, everything else looks good. Resource looks good. So let's submit the project to SHPO. So now I have submitted it to SHPO for review. We get a due date of 10/26/2023 for SHPO to complete their review. And now I'm going to ask Shannon to reject my project on the SHPO end.
Okay, it's returned.
Returned. Okay. So we're going to refresh where it said submitted to SHPO. It's back in lead agency review up here. And what we don't have built out right now is the events. So over here on the right hand side of the screen, it'll say why SHPO returned the project. Let's just say SHPO doesn't agree with a no adverse effect finding. So we're going to go in and change it to adverse effect finding. We're going to add our resource. We don't have. Hold on 1 second.
Ashley, I think that's a bug that because it hasn't issued a Smithsonian number yet.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can select this number. So if you select adverse effect, you have to put the adversely affected resource in here, which right now it's not populating because we have a bug, like Shannon said, but we're gonna just randomly select, the Oregon Trail that has an adverse effect to it. So it'll have the Smithsonian number here and the name here. Will result in an adverse effect. So we can add some more notes in this section here. And we can click save. And then I can submit the project. And so right here, I also have the option to return the project back to the consultant if I needed to, but we're just going to submit the project to SHPO again for review. And so now it says submitted to SHPO. Are there any questions about this? I see, I think Shannon answered a question from Catherine. And then Craig asked if, do we have to upload each photo individually for site feature artifact, or upload a single PDF of the photo pages for their resource? So I don't know. I'm gonna let Shannon answer that question.
I was in the middle of typing it, so. So Craig, the short answer is yes, you can upload a single PDF of multiple photos, but we do still have a requirement of having individual JPEG photos uploaded. So you could upload a photo of the overview of the site and then have a PDF attachment of all of the artifacts and features and etc.
I think, Shannon, don't we have it set at, you need to upload at least 2 JPEGs of each resource, and then you could do multiple on a PDF document, but we do need at least a couple JPEGs of the resources.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. I misspoke. Two are required.
Okay. And I'll just read the question that Catherine Burkheis asked for those of you who don't see it in the chat. Ashley, if you are updating a resource record when you input new text, such as for the description, does it just add to the record or will it stay separate to show the different surveyors' inputs? And Shannon responded, previous data will be saved with previous versions and will be accessible through the other versions section of the resource record. Nikki,
Yeah.
I saw you had your hand up there momentarily. There you go. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple different questions, and I know I've missed one of the meetings, so if it's something that's in your other one, you can just tell me to go watch it.
Oh, no, it's fine.
But you said in your opening that the final site record, you get your number when you set it as complete. Is that when you set it as complete before you submit the project, or is that once you submit the whole project?
The former.
Sense?
So yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense. I know exactly what you're saying. Yes, it's the former when you hit complete, but not necessarily have submitted the document yet or the report or and associated resource records. So when you hit complete, the number will be auto-generated at that point.
Okay, and would you be able to, like, say you completed it, but then you need to go back and make edits, you can go back and edit it before you submit it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and then, sorry, I actually have like a whole list.
That's fine. That's fine. Ask away.
My questions. So as far as, Ashley just demonstrated a bunch of different levels of access. We have, I mean, at our agency, you know, I write the reports and then, you know, I submit them through our admin. Our admin actually submits them right now to SHPO. Is the access only going to be limited to the cultural resource specialists, or is that something that, you know, maybe there's different levels of access within the program for a single agency?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think we weren't maybe aware of that kind of structure within the BOR. This is not something we've thought through or discussed at this point.
Okay.
I don't know if Shannon, if you have any thoughts about that, how that would work. I mean, I'm certain we can make something work, but I don't know where we are to do that.
Okay. It was just a question. It may be that we change how we do things on our end. But you know, that's just something that came up in my head.
Sure.
And then have you guys developed the cost structure yet? I know the last one I sat in on, there was not a cost structure yet.
No, we have not.
Okay. Okay. And then I have one more question. When you were demonstrating, you know, the agency has submitted the project, but the SHPO did not concur with something or wanted more information or something like that. Is there a place to add additional documentation? I didn't see that in there. Like if we did like a response to comments or we submitted an addendum report or something like that.
So when we send the project back, it's fully editable at that point.
Okay.
So you could upload more information or more documents, or you can change your comments at that point. It just kicks it back to that fully editable state.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can add under project attachments, you can add a new cover letter, you can add a comment summary, you can re-upload the survey report. All of that can be changed.
Okay. All right. I'm done. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you. Okay, I don't think there's anything new in the chat. Oh. When you do a radius search of previous surveys or sites, does it generate a table? I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna have Shannon answer that to make sure I don't say something incorrectly.
Yeah, that's correct. It will show up as a list like Ashley is showing here. There will be an option to export that as like a CSV or an Excel file. They just haven't built that piece yet.
And Beth says, that brings up a follow-up question. If SHPO review requires additional comments, will there be a history log of changes? Yes, and I'm gonna let Shannon expand on that.
I'm not sure. So it will show the events with any comments that SHPO has said. And there is the option, Ashley, if you scroll up to the comments by the agency. So there's that agency comments section where the agency can send additional notes if they need to for the reviewer. And there isn't a place for additional comments on when it's being submitted.
But there
Does
will
that-
be like timestamps on submissions and returns and that kind of thing, correct?
Yes, and those will all be displayed in the events section.
Does that answer your question, Beth?
Is there a way that we could see what that would look like, just because there isn't really that log in the events, just so that we can see an example of like if there was back and forth to see where those timestamps and whatnot go?
Hold on.
Some of these elements haven't been built out yet, so I'm not sure we'll be able to show you everything, but
Okay.
maybe Shannon's got something.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that one. Okay, I'm going to take over sharing just so, and this may only make sense to some of you, but this is the log that shows for that particular project that Ashley just submitted. And you can see it's all in code, but this is how it'll be kind of displayed, is that there's an event type of 1, which is that a project was created. And then 3 is that the status has changed, and it says who changed the status and the timestamp. Here, this one here is where was returned by SHPO to the Forest Service because of an adverse effect. They wanted it to be an adverse effect. So, so that's kind of how it'll be displayed, where each of these event types were created or change of status, and then any notes or description that goes along with it, along with who did it and when.
Cool. So that it'll be prettier, but it'll be that sort of thing in that event sidebar.
Yes, it will be much prettier.
That's super cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kim asks, does the system send automated emails when an event happens?
The answer to that is yes. We are still in the process of drafting those emails and what they're going to say and the information that's going to be contained in them. But yes, there will be emails and also notifications. So in this, I believe I'm sharing my screen. There's a little bell up in the corner here, and that will also have little notifications when you've logged in that a project has been returned to you, or a project has been submitted to you from a consultant.
Craig asks, for sketch or locational maps, will you require trinomials in the map labels? If so, is there a way to access the trinomial earlier in the process for map production?
I I'm not sure of the answer for that one, Craig. I'm kind of erring on the side of maybe not, because it'll be attached to the resource. But that is maybe something that we need to discuss internally.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good, I don't think we've sort of raised that. I think what you said, Shannon, initially is probably correct. Since it'll be attached to the project or to the resource record that'll have the trinomial, it would seem unnecessary to have it on the map itself, especially because, as you point out, there's sort of a horse before the cart sort of thing there. Jenny asks, will the SHPO guidance on the standard report format and content change with the implementation of ICRIS? It looks like if we create a report with the current guidelines, we will be duplicating our efforts between that PDF attachment and the ICRIS project data input. Yes, we are working on updating our guidance to reflect the changes that ICRIS will implement, so that there aren't redundancies in that way. Any other questions? Well, seeing no more questions, we can give you back some of your time today. As I mentioned at the outset, we will post a recording of this session on our website. The link is at the top of the chat from today, as we did with the previous sessions. So please feel free to direct others to those recordings, and also feel free to forward these informational session invitations to anyone that you think might be interested. We want to get word out, as widely as possible. So share as much information as you can, and we will look forward to seeing you back here in about a month when we have our next informational session. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. So thank you very much for being here today.